guys. I know I am looking like a straight up mess right now, but I will explain that in a minute. Today I'm really excited because I am filming my very first reading vlog ever, which is so much fun and so exciting. And this reading vlog is going to specifically be about The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. So the reason why I'm looking kind of like a mess right now is because I actually just got home from opera rehearsal. We are right now in what we call Tech Week, which essentially means that we are in the last few rehearsals before the actual performances. So I am actually in the opera chorus. We are doing a Mozart opera called Abduction from the Seraglio, and it's been a lot of fun. So yeah, I just came home from dress rehearsal, which meant that I had to have full stage makeup, and my hair is looking like a hot mess because I had my hair in pin curls so that I could put a wig cap on and a wig, and maybe editing Rachel can put in some pictures of what I look like in my full garb. But yeah, so we did the first full dress rehearsal tonight and it was lots of fun, but it was also very long. So I am very happy to be back home and to take off all of this makeup. So I thought I would kind of talk to you a little bit about The Handmaid's Tale, the little bit that I have read of it, while I kind of get ready for bed and do my skincare routine. That moment when you can take your false eyelashes off is one of the most satisfying moments ever. Yes! I did read the introduction, which Margaret Atwood wrote in 2017, and I read the first chapter, which is literally like 2 or 3 pages. Yeah, I was going to read more during dress rehearsal because I had a lot of time to myself in like the women's dressing room. Wearing wigs, especially in shows, is not the most comfortable thing. When you put on a wig cap and then a wig on top of that, plus when you wear a wig in a show, they want to make sure that it's going to stay on your head the entire time. So they literally put these big bobby pins and they literally pin the wig to your scalp. And because of that, I was getting a really bad headache, and not even just a headache, but just this feeling of like my head being squeezed, and it was just painful. And honestly, I really couldn't concentrate enough to read this book. All of that being said, I was in a lot of pain tonight, and that sucks because I couldn't read. But I did want to discuss the introduction written by Margaret Atwood. And it was really cool reading this introduction because we got good insight as to where Atwood was getting her inspiration from to write this novel. And so when she was writing this in 1984, she was living in West Berlin, I believe, and this was during the Cold War still. This was 5 years before the Soviet Union would fall. She was living in West Berlin, which was like, because you know they had the Berlin Wall, and West Berlin was like owned by the like Allied forces, and East Berlin was like the Soviet Union, right? And it gets even more complicated because the entire city of Berlin sits in East Germany. So being in West Berlin, you're very isolated. You're trapped within the whole Soviet Union territory. Sorry if that's convoluted, but I tried my best to explain that. It was really cool to hear Margaret talk about how basically living in West Berlin gave her the inspiration to write this novel. And specifically, she talks about how, like, just walking the streets of Berlin, like, you always felt like you were being watched. She also pointed out this detail that, like, I never knew happened. I'm actually gonna, like, pick up the book because I got it right here. You can tell that I'm already obsessed because, like, I don't know if you can see, but I've already been underlining, like, so many passages of this. But she talked about every Sunday the East German Air Force made sonic booms to remind us of how close they were. And that like really creeped me out, because when you think about how the Cold War was all about, like everybody was just like getting all these nuclear weapons and like threatening to start a World War III. And something else, I'm just gonna quote this: I experienced the wariness, the feeling of being spied on, the silences, the changes of subject, the oblique ways in which people might convey information, and these had an influence on what I was writing. And so if you don't know what The Handmaid's Tale is about, I'm gonna like read part of the synopsis on the back. And if you've watched the Hulu series, you know what it's about. I mean, the plot is the same, at least based on this synopsis. Offred is a handmaid in the Republic of Gilead. She may leave the home of the commander and his wife once a day to walk to food markets, whose signs are now pictures instead of words because women are no longer allowed to read. She must lie on her back once a month and pray that the commander makes her pregnant, because in an age of declining births, Offred and the other handmaids are valued only if their ovaries are viable. Offred can remember the years before, when she lived and made love with her husband Luke, when she played with and protected her daughter, when she had a job, money of her own, and access to knowledge. But all of that is gone now. Yeah, so that kind of gives you a synopsis. But even just reading like the first 3 pages of the actual novel, I can already tell you that I'm like absolutely in love with this. Love Atwood's writing. You immediately get sucked into this atmosphere and into this world. So yeah, I will talk to you guys later. Hey guys, it is much later now. I think it's about 2:30 a.m. I usually stay up until about like 4 a.m. every night / morning. I'm definitely a night owl, so this is not out of the ordinary for me. So I kind of wanted to give you guys an update before I head to bed. I got to page 50 in The Handmaid's Tale, and I kind of wanted to give you guys my thoughts. She talks about, so this takes place in the Republic of Gilead, which used to be the United States of America. And she says, in the book, the Constitution and Congress are no longer. The Republic of Gilead is built upon a foundation of the 17th century Puritan roots that have always lain beneath the modern day America we thought we knew. So I just thought that was interesting. She talks about biblical precedents for aspects of the story, such as handmaids in general. She says the biblical precedent is the story of Jacob and his 2 wives, Rachel and Leah, and their 2 handmaids. 1 man, 4 women, 12 sons, but the handmaids could not claim the sons. They belonged to the respective wives, and so the tale unfolds. Also, I did not know that The Handmaid's Tale was made into a film in 1989, which I really want to check out. Now that I know that that exists. It has also been an opera, which is really interesting because I've never heard of it, and I'm pretty well versed in modern operas as well as operas of the past. And it's also been a ballet, and it is currently being turned into a graphic novel. When she talks about, is The Handmaid's Tale a prediction, I liked this quote: let's say it's an anti-prediction. If this future can be described in detail, maybe it won't happen. This is like an exact thought that I have had watching the Hulu series. Honestly, after like recent elections and a certain person has been brought into power, not knowing like that and then also watching the Hulu series, like it just seemed like all the more realistic that like this kind of thing could actually happen. And so I thought about that too, of like, well, maybe if like this show and this book exists, maybe like this can't happen. So like I said, I'm on page 50 and we're really just like in exposition right now. I did want to talk about a specific scene that I thought was very interesting. Something that I want to say overall is that the Hulu series like nails the aesthetic of this book. Like reading descriptions of what things and places look like it's just so on point. The perspective is from Offred, who was our main character, as I told you guys earlier because I read the synopsis on the back. Handmaids, their real purpose is for bearing children, but they also have to like do the grocery shopping, but they can't walk alone. They always have like a walking buddy. And so her and her walking buddy, whose name is Offglen. So there's this group of Japanese tourists who are walking towards them. She talks about how like these tourists like come towards them and they like want pictures with them. But something that struck me about this scene in particular is that this kind of thing is not depicted in the Hulu series at all. We don't really see much of like the outside world except for the goings on in Canada, but like we don't see like tourists milling about. And it's just interesting to me that like people would actually want to be a tourist in the Republic of Gilead, because this reminds me of like wanting to be a tourist in North Korea, honestly. But like, why would you want to tour in a country that you know is like so oppressive to its people? And I will update you guys at some point tomorrow. Hey guys, it is now Thursday morning. It is just about 1 a.m. and I've just finished reading The Handmaid's Tale for the night. So I thought I would update you guys on what I read. So I am now on page 151, so I am just about halfway through because this book is just about 300 pages. And yeah, so I got to read about 50 pages earlier today, and I just read 50 pages before starting this video. So there's really not that much for me to update you guys on, because at this point in the vlog, I want to make sure that I am absolutely excluding spoilers of any kind. So what I am going to say is that for the most part, this is a pretty slow read, and I think that is mainly because the text, I mean, I don't know, you probably can't really tell, but like the text is pretty tiny. And so because the pages are all so dense, it's just taking me a while to read every page. Some books are just like that. Some books kind of move faster than others, and this one is definitely moving slower. This is also the kind of book that I can't really read all that fast because every sentence just means so much. There's just so much detail in this book. And while I appreciate that, it's also making my reading experience just a little bit frustrating, because I do prefer to read books that move pretty quickly. At this point, we are still getting a lot of exposition, especially from Offred, who is our main character, from her point of view as far as how she actually became a handmaid, and how she got to be in the household of the commander and the commander's wife that she is currently working for. There's also quite a bit of flashbacks as far as Offred's life before the Republic of Gilead was established. And so a lot of this definitely reminds me of the Hulu series. They definitely did a pretty close adaptation of this book. Even though I still have the entire second half to read, I can tell that they really read this book from cover to cover numerous times and took extensive notes. Other than that, I really don't have much more to say about this book so far. I will say I'm finding it a little bit frustrating that I'm halfway through the book and we're still kind of stuck in exposition mode, I feel like. I feel like not a lot of actual events are happening, but really we're kind of stuck in an exposition kind of mode where we're just seeing a ton of flashbacks. Probably more flashbacks than present time. So I'm really just interested to see what changes as this book goes along. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for this update. And I will try my best to vlog a little bit tomorrow during the day, as well as at night. Tonight was another dress rehearsal for the opera, so I was very focused on just getting ready and driving to the theater and obviously being in the show and all of that. But tomorrow is actually what we call a dark day, which means that I have the night off. And so I don't have to go to the theater at all tomorrow, but Friday is actually our opening night. Yeah, I think that's gonna be it for now. Hey guys, it is Thursday afternoon. I think it is just about 5 p.m. I did want to vlog a little bit. I was able to read about 15 more pages of Handmaid's Tale before I had to head to work. And I'm happy to report that the book is already moving along a lot faster paced. And we're already starting to get an actual plot and actual events. So that's really great, because last night I was getting a bit frustrated with how slowly the book was moving along and just how many flashbacks and how much exposition there was, but I'm already happier with my reading experience so far. And so I won't be able to really read anymore until I get home tonight. I'm actually going to see the Book of Mormon, the musical. I'm really excited to see this show and see what the hype is all about, and I'm sure I'll let you know how the show was when I vlog a little bit more tonight. So yeah, I will talk to you guys later. Hey guys, it is just about 1 a.m. now, and I am finished with The Handmaid's Tale for tonight. I got to page 199, so I have just a little less than 100 pages left to this novel, and so I thought I would give you my thoughts. But first, I wanted to talk about the Book of Mormon a little bit. I saw that earlier tonight, and it was honestly one of the best musicals that I've ever seen. It was so funny, really good music, just a really talented cast. I would totally recommend seeing it if you find yourself in New York, or if it tours near you. I would definitely recommend seeing it. So, like I updated you guys earlier today, I was feeling a little bit better about my reading experience because I felt like we were actually getting a good amount of action. But then reading the next part of the book, I just feel like we are moving things along at a really good pace when we are in the present, but then it will cut to flashbacks and I feel like the action just stops. For the most part, the flashbacks are pretty boring in my opinion, and I like hate saying that. But yeah, for the most part, the flashbacks just aren't really captivating me in the same way that the present time is captivating me. I will say there was a really good flashback. Okay, there's a really good flashback scene that happens around page 174. And this is where we really get into the origin story of the Republic of Gilead. It says, it was after the catastrophe when they shot the president and machine gunned the Congress and the army declared a state of emergency. They blamed it on the Islamic fanatics at the time. That was when they suspended the Constitution. They said it would be temporary. There wasn't even any rioting in the streets. People stayed home at night watching television looking for some direction. There wasn't even an enemy you could put your finger on. And so then it goes from there, kind of giving the whole transition story of how we exactly go from the America that we know to the Republic of Gilead. And there's some interesting passages in here about how basically there's laws implemented about how women can't own property and women can't actually have their own money and they can't hold jobs anymore. And so now that I only have about like 95 pages of the book left, I'm just very interested to see how this is going to end, because I'm just not really seeing like a clear arc of a story. Something that I'm also finding interesting is that my reading experience of this is just also not very exciting or suspenseful. Watching the Hulu series, you feel so much fear and just suspense overall throughout, just from Offred's point of view. So yeah, right now I'm just not feeling amazing about this book, and that makes me sad. One of the reasons why I wanted to even make a reading vlog about this book was that I thought it was going to be like a 5-star read, and I thought it would be cool to compare it to the Hulu series, but right now I'm loving the Hulu series way more than the book. So yeah, I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Hey guys, it is now Saturday evening. I actually finished The Handmaid's Tale last night, so I thought that I would wrap up this video as well as give you my final thoughts on this book. Question of the day is, do I pull off this lipstick? This is not a lipstick I would normally purchase for myself, but this came in a Jeffree Star Cosmetics mystery box, so I thought I would try it out on this video and see how it looks on camera, basically. I don't think I would ever wear this color out except maybe for Halloween, so yeah. So overall, I'm pretty sad that I did not love this as much as I thought I would. I mean, we get a ton of exposition and a ton of flashbacks, but there's no like overall arc of events that I would say actually is a storyline or a plot line. And like I said earlier in the vlog, this was overall a very slow and kind of frustrating reading experience for me. And something else about this book that kind of, I guess, confuses me and just like leaves me wanting more is while I'm glad that it's a fairly short book because of how slow the reading experience was for me, I felt like overall we didn't have a really complete picture of the world that this book is set in. Because we really only get snippets of how the Republic of Gilead was formed and how Offred became a handmaid, but I just feel like we never got a complete picture of how all of those events happened. And I think overall there could have been more character development as well. And for a dystopian novel like this, you really want to make sure that your readers have a really complete picture of the world that your book is set in. And I just feel like Margaret Atwood kind of missed a few things that would have made at least the picture in my mind more complete. What I will say though is that I am so glad that this book exists, because if for nothing else, then the fact that it inspired the Hulu series, which I just think is such a phenomenal show. Hulu series, in my opinion, does everything that the book lacks in. Character development, you really get a complete picture of the world that we're set in. The show, you really do get a complete picture of how things are going in other parts of the world, such as Canada, whereas in this book, the only snippet that we have of the outside world is the scene that I talked about earlier in the vlog with the Japanese tourists wanting to take pictures with Offred and Offglen. So really, I guess the bottom line of this video is that you guys should definitely check out the Hulu series. Honestly, the book didn't really add all that much more to my knowledge of this world and these characters. And I never thought I would say this, but in this case, I actually love the adaptation so much more than the original source material. What I will say is I am looking forward to the sequel that Margaret Atwood announced recently. I think it is set to come out later this year, if I'm not mistaken. I will try my best to do some more research about that book release and link some information down below for you guys, but I am looking forward to that book and I will definitely check it out. So overall, I gave this book a 3 out of 5 stars. And that is it for my very first reading vlog. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Obviously, since this was my first reading vlog ever, there are some things that are not perfect about this video, and I would love to get some feedback from you guys. So if you guys have any opinions about the kind of things that you want to see in my reading vlogs, please leave your comments down below. I love seeing what you guys have to say, and I love having conversations with you as well. And I hope that you would consider subscribing, and don't forget to push that notification bell button below so that you will be notified every time I upload. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!